yeah, obviously this is our biggest event of the year, and it would be great to play well here. The golf course is looking fantastic. The changes are really cool, and it was really nice to play the last 2 days and see how different it's playing to when we last played. Yeah, I think in 2022. But very excited to get going tomorrow. Yeah, I mean the first time. My first experience of Durban Country Club was, I think it was the 2009 interprovincial. I was 16 or just turned 17 then, so young guy playing with an experienced team, and yeah, I just remember the wind blew so hard there, and there were days where it pumped to southerly, and then the next day it would blow northeaster, and I was just so taken aback at how different of a golf course it was. I guess Humewood or maybe East London's the only two other courses you can compare it to, where it's in South Africa, where it's such a contrast. Yeah, it feels like a completely different course. And then we played the Challenge Tour, event here in 2022, and the guys shot the lights out. I think the weather was really good. The rough wasn't up too much. Yeah, it was just target golf. But the new courses, I'm amazed by what they've done after the floods, and the rough is brutal. Like it might not look like too much from afar, but once your ball goes in there, I haven't got many good lies in the last two practice rounds. And obviously the green complexes is also the big change. The green complexes are also, they've changed quite a lot. There's a lot more sort of flags that can be tucked now behind bunkers, and a lot of runoff areas. So especially if you're coming out the rough, you got to be very careful to not miss it on the short side. So yeah, they've done a great job, and obviously introducing the burn to help with the drainage and the flood water. That's also, I think they've done really well on holes like, was it 13, 14, even on 6 if you're going for the green. I think if you miss it a bit left there, that can come into play. So yeah, it's at 10 as well. 10's a huge one. It's a pretty tough tee shot, and then once you got the tee shot away, in the past, you could attack it quite a bit. Where now it's you got to be really careful with your bailouts right, but there's a bit of trouble out there as well. So, you got to be very careful. I think obviously it's wind dependent. If it's like a light easterly that's meant to blow the first few days, you can play quite conservatively off the tee and still be able to attack the course. But the last 2 days, the southerly's been blowing like a stiff breeze. Then the first five become pretty tame and easy, and then the last 5 become quite brutal. So once that flips around, then everyone who's played Durban Country Club knows the notorious the first 5 holes in Northeaster. So yeah, hopefully we get to experience a bit of both, and it'll be really tough. But as professional golf goes, if we say it's playing tough, and then you get a light easterly blowing the first day, someone goes out and shoots 63 or 62, then you think, what's all the fuss about? But I think it's going to be a great test. Hopefully the rain last night didn't hurt the course too much. I guess we'll see how the new drainage system's working. Yeah, I think if with the light easterly, a lot of the holes are crosswind. So I think a lot more players will play conservatively off the tee, just to make sure you're coming out of the fairways, because that's the first point of order. If you're hitting, if you're playing out the rough, it doesn't matter how far away you don't have control over the ball. So yeah, I think with the wind that's forecast for the first 2 days, you can hit a lot of irons off the tee to give yourself chances to attack the flags. And obviously with the rain, the greens are, even though they're quite receptive. So yeah, you can, if you're hitting all the fairways, you can be a bit more aggressive. When a strong northeast or southerly wind blows, then you're kind of forced on certain holes, like the last 5. If it's blowing to a southerly, like holes like 16, you kind of forced to hit maybe a 3-wood or a driver off that tee if it's pumping, because it's such a tough hole, and you can't afford to the average hitter hit a 2-iron off the tee and then still leave yourself a 4-iron into that green. Or even 17. 17's a hole. I forgot how tough that hole is into the wind. I had this perception that it was quite a wide tee shot, kind of like 13 at Humewood, but then I got there on I think it's a new back tee, and if you hit it, we hit shots like literally couple of yards in the rough on the left that pitched in the fairway, and struggled to find our balls. 18 as well with the new back tee. If that's blowing into the wind, you're kind of forced to hit a wood off that tee, and it's not like in the past where you could just bomb it over the bush on the left and you could find it. Now you lose your ball in that stuff on the left, and the right's no good either. It's either out of bounds or you got knee-high rough. So yeah, as a great golf course always does, it asks you a lot of questions regardless of which way the wind's blowing. And yeah, it's a compliments to the redesign team. They've done a great job. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it all depends. If you're hitting over a cross bunker or some water, if it's sitting at the bottom and you're just off the edge of the fairway, you can maybe afford to be a bit more aggressive, knowing if it comes out a bit low, it's still going to chase a bit. But when you've got like a dicey lie and you've got you got water to cover 150 meters away, then it might be a case of let's just take a sand wedge and hack it out and trust the wedge game from there. So I guess that's what the burn does. Like on a few holes, I was practicing out the rough, and it asks a few of those questions. Yeah, you can be literally a foot off the fairway, off the first cut, and you're struggling to find your ball in places. So. And also, if it's sitting up really high, you got to, if the pin's at the back and you think it might jump, then I'll always just, play for front edge. Or obviously if there's no water in the front. Or generally, you never want to, greens are designed that you never really want to go over a green. So I'll generally always play for the front of the green if there's no sort of penalty area before that. Yeah, I mean, it's a different beast. Grass feels similar to like Leopard Creek, but I think the rough's definitely, quite a bit juicier. And to the naked eye, if you were just getting to the course and you saw it, you wouldn't think much of it. But when you're looking for your ball and they're just off the fairway, then that makes you realize how tricky it is.